You're listening to This Week in Big Sky Football, a comprehensive look at all this week's action in Big Sky Football. Now here's your host, Scott Garrard.
Welcome on in. It's another episode of This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Scott Garrard. Week 1 of conference play filled with all kinds of excitement, and we'll break it down for you as well as get you ready for Week 2 of conference play in the Big Sky. Great show lined up for you. We got Weber State head coach Jay Hill, Idaho State tight end Josh Cook, and then Stats Craig Haley will wrap things up as always. Let's recap what we saw from the previous weekend. Incredible, thrilling game between Cal Poly and Montana. Mustangs fullback Joe Prothero, the reigning Big Sky Football Player of the Week, rushed for 90 yards. And Mustang quarterback Dano Graves threw for 157 yards and 3 scores. Also, the go-ahead 39-yard pass to Kyle Lewis, giving Cal Poly the lead with 4:29 left. They are now officially ranked. Eastern Washington continues to move up in the national polls after a big win over Northern Arizona, 50-35. Cooper Kupp, after missing Eastern's win against Northern Iowa, came back in a big way. 11 catches, 111 yards. The Eastern Washington defense, also a good performance, forcing 3 Lumberjack turnovers. A lot of controversy down in Cedar City after some comments last week in defending Big Sky champs. Southern Utah got the win over Portland State, 45-31. Offensive contest, as you would expect between these two teams combining for over 1,000 yards. However, it was the Thunderbirds' defense made impact plays. Southern Utah forced 5 Viking turnovers, including 4 interceptions of Portland State quarterback Alex Caressa. Southern Utah quarterback Patrick Tyler with 249 passing yards and 2 scores to go with 2 interceptions. Southern Utah running back Malik Brown for 173 yards on the ground, including an 87-yard scoring run late in the third quarter. North Dakota picked up a defensive battle with Montana State earning a 17-15 win over the Bobcats. Fighting Hawks forced 5 Montana State turnovers, intercepting Bobcat quarterback Tyler Brugman 3 different times, including a key interception in the fourth quarter. North Dakota's Brady Oliveira rushed for 171 yards and 22 scores, including both of North Dakota's touchdowns. Idaho State picked up a win over Sac State 42-34. Bengals quarterback Tanner Guler throwing for 270 yards and 2 scores, while Idaho State running back Michael Dean rushed for 154 yards and 2 scores. Bengals jumped out to a 21-0 lead. They're now 1-0 in league play. And finally, Weber State got a win over UC Davis. Final score there, 38-35. Wildcats with 458 yards of offense, 2 turnovers, both Jadarian Clark interceptions. Wildcat running back Trayshawn Garrett rushed for 111 yards and a score. UC Davis quarterback Ben Scott throwing for 266 yards and 2 touchdowns. But Weber State 1-0 in league play and avoided a scare there in the fourth quarter. With that, let's bring in the head coach of the Weber State Wildcats, Jay Hill. Coach, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Scott?
I'm good. Always good to catch up with you. How's life down there or up there in Ogden?
Well, the seasons are always crazy. That never changes. And, we're just doing our best right now to get better.
Big lead in the fourth quarter. I know that you had a game that got away from you in the fourth quarter earlier in the season. This one you were able to hold on to. Were there some lessons learned in that previous game that you're able to use in this fourth quarter of this game?
Well, we were able to pull it out. But obviously we haven't learned it good enough because we let them come back and make it a scare. That's twice in the last 3 games where we've had big leads late in the game. We got to learn to close people out. Got to be a little tougher, execute a little better, and just quite frankly, our pass defense late in games when we get a little bit tired or whatever the reason, we just got to be a little better and get out of those games without the scare.
Let's talk about Jadarian Clark. That guy's a gunslinger out there, and he's going to try to make some plays. How do you balance that between making sure, because you don't want to take away his playmaking ability, but you also want him to play within the offense a little bit? How is it like balancing those 2 styles of play?
Well, just that. I want him to be aggressive. I want him to make the plays because he needs to do it. Really, the turnovers that have hurt us are the ones where he's trying to force something. And so that's what he's got to do. Run around, make plays, do what you got to do, but don't force it. We don't need that in the offense. We need him to play within the confines of the offense. And if he does that, then he has and does play at a very high level.
You've won 2 straight games going into a bye week. Is this a good time for your team to be going into a bye?
It's a huge time for us. We were extremely banged up the last 2 games. We've not played with some of our better players right now. Eric Wilkes went out first series of the Utah State game, so he's really yet to play this year. Emmett Tell is yet to play this year. So some of our players that going into the season we thought were going to be some of our best have yet to play. So we're hoping to get some of those guys back. And, if we do, it should only just help us get stronger.
Outside of, obviously, the health issues, what are some other things you hope to get accomplished during the bye week? I know a lot of coaches are able to work with some of their younger players. And then is this a key time of year for recruiting as well?
It is. So I've got coaches out today, in fact, recruiting. They'll go out a bunch on Thursday and Friday to see a lot of the local high school games. And then some guys will go out of state later on this weekend. But our main concerns right now are, one, to get healthy. Number two, we want to get our starters a little bit better and get a good jump start on Portland State, who we play next. And then three, we want to get our young guys a lot of reps this week to, further their progression. So if we can accomplish those three things, it'll be a very successful bye week.
Let's talk a little bit about Portland State. I know you got a couple of weeks, but obviously Alex Caressa, a very difficult offense to try to contain. What jumps out at you when you look at that team on film?
Just that. You got to stop their run game. They're a lot like we faced at South Dakota, where you got to really respect the quarterback in the run game. They do a good job with their scheme. It's really an option scheme where you got to defend the quarterback, the running backs. You got to watch for the wideouts, receiving pitches out of the backfield and doing their bubble scheme. If you're watching Oregon or one of those spread offenses that's mainly running the ball, they're a lot like that. But they executed a good level. Last year they did an unbelievable job of not turning the ball over. This year they've been turning it over, and that's kind of hurt them so far this year. But they're definitely got all the ability to be that team they were last year that had a bye in the playoffs, or going into the playoffs they had a first-round bye and were a really high seed last year.
Jay Hill, head coach of Weber State, joining us here on This Week in Big Sky Football. When you took over, that program was down quite a bit. You keep building it up a bit by bit every single year. What does this team need to take that next step to where you feel like you're winning games week in and week out?
Well, I think we need a little bit more confidence, and that comes with continuing to pull out wins like we did last week, where someone comes roaring back, but you still pull it out. Pulling out wins like we did the week before, where you smash someone pretty good. You really outgained someone by a lot of yards, yet it really didn't reflect in the scoreboard. Those things we've done now. Now we've got to learn how to put people away, and that's really that next step. If we learn to put people away, we got a chance to be a real good team. Our last 5 conference games, I think we're outgaining our opponents by an average of about 250 yards a game in the last 5. But it's not always reflecting on the scoreboard. So that's the next big step, is get that reflection on the scoreboard. If we do that, we got a chance to be really good.
How, when you obviously in the health situation with your wife has been well documented, how is it trying to balance making sure you're there for her and also there for your football team throughout this early part of the season?
Well, she's tough as nails, and she's been great, and she wants me to be with the team right now. So balancing that has not been, quite frankly, it's not been that much out of the norm. On Wednesdays every other week, I go with her to her chemo treatments, and she spends a little more time up in the office, maybe laying on my couch or something just during the day when the kids are at school. But that's just something that we have to balance. We've tried to make it so it's not a distraction for the team. That's not fair to them.
Well, Coach, we appreciate it. Congratulations on the win last week. We look forward to keeping track of you throughout the course of the season, and let's do this again soon.
Yeah, Scotty, you're awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Hey, appreciate it. One of the best, Jay Hill, right here on This Week in Big Sky Football. When we come back, we'll be joined by Idaho State tight end Josh Cook. We'll also review your Root Sports Players of the Week. It's all coming up next. You're listening to another edition of This Week in Big Sky Football.
NCAA Division I FCS football is a game of perseverance, integrity, passion, character, and sportsmanship. As he works to honor the game, every FCS student-athlete grows in his responsibilities as a student and as a member of his campus and community. Dedicated to personal growth and success in the classroom, the NCAA Division I FCS, every down, every day.
We play to win, but it's bigger than winning. It's about authenticity, being true to yourself, genuine dreams and a country big enough to fit them, values and hard work, giving your best and giving back, working together, building a tradition bigger than any one of us, and showing the world every day who we are and how we play. We're Big Sky. We are the heart of the American West.
Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football.
Segment number 2 here on This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Scott Garrard. I want to thank our great producer, Austin Horton, for, as always, making the magic happen. All right, we'll be joined in just a moment by Idaho State tight end Josh Cook. First, let's review our Root Sports Big Sky Football Players of the Week from last week. North Dakota's Brady Oliveira is your Root Sports Offensive Player of the Week. No big deal, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns, as UND got the win at Montana State, which is never an easy place to get a victory. Southern Utah safety Tyler Collette is your Root Sports Defensive Player of the Week, finishing the game with 2 interceptions, also 8 tackles. Southern Utah got in a big win over Portland State. And Weber State kicker Tyler Hintz, your Root Sports Special Teams Player of the Week, made 3 field goals, including a game-winning 54-yarder, as Weber State got a 38-35 victory over UC Davis. Now remember, Root Sports, your official television partner of the Big Sky Conference. This week's game on Root Sports has UC Davis playing at Eastern Washington. It's a 1 o'clock Pacific time, and again, you can catch it on Root Sports. All right, let's go out. Welcome in Idaho State tight end Josh Cook. Josh, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you doing yourself?
Not bad. Not as good as you, though. 42-34 victory over Sacramento State to open up conference play. Always nice to kick off the conference play with a win, is it not?
Oh, yeah, it's always nice. You know, last couple of years, we haven't started off this well in conference, and, you know, it's just great to get an opening win.
You know, the realities of Idaho State means you have to play some FBS games. Again, last year you played 2 of those before conference play. This year you did. It seems like you came out of it unscathed as far as injuries and all those other things. Was there any way that you treated that situation maybe differently this year than opposed to maybe last year?
This year we just wanted to go out and, you know, compete, give everybody a run for our money, and we pretty much did that. We had a few injuries against Colorado, but Oregon State a couple weeks ago, we had everybody came out pretty clean.
Yeah, no doubt. You kind of fit that new style of a tight end where essentially you're a bigger wide receiver. How would you describe how you play the game of football and what they ask you to do there at Idaho State?
I would pretty much say that I'm a bigger wide receiver, but, you know, sometimes I got to get my hands dirty and put my hand in the dirt and block. But, you know, that's the duties of playing tight end, so I pretty much have to do it all.
You don't mind getting in there and blocking a little bit, do you?
Oh, no, not at all. I've been doing it for the last 9 years now, so might as well get used to it.
There you go. Seems like you have a really good relationship with your quarterback, too. What's it like to practice with him, watch film, and all those other things? Because it seems like you guys have a good chemistry out there on the field.
Yeah, Tanner's a pretty funny guy, so we're always joking around on the field. But, you know, once we get to doing our team period and stuff, we can snap onto that mode and everything's serious. We can get our work done.
So we always like to, when we chat with players, kind of get their story, where they came from. Tell us yours. Where, you know, how you ended up at Idaho State, where you played high school, and what you're working on there at Idaho State as far as your degree goes.
All right. So I'm from Anaheim, California. I went to school in Santa Ana at Mater Dei, and at Mater Dei I played basketball and football for years. And my journey to getting to Idaho State was crazy because when I first talked to Idaho State, they told me they weren't going to offer a tight end. So I was scrambling around looking for somewhere to go. And then a couple of weeks later, they called me and said, actually, we are getting a tight end. So they offered me my English class, and pretty much the rest is history.
That's awesome.
But I'm up here studying communications with an emphasis in television production. So, you know, once I get done with sports and all that, that's pretty much what I want to get into.
So get in your shots in the media right now and say all those guys in the media, because when you become part of the media, then you have to receive all the shots from all the athletes.
I know. I got to get used to it.
Hey, when you I didn't know you played at Mater Dei. That's quite a powerhouse there in California. What was it like to play in such a from a high school standpoint, such a legacy program?
Every week, someone's trying to come out and beat us, and if they do happen to beat us, it's probably the best day in their life.
I love it. That's awesome. You know, when you play with those level of expectations, man, week in and week out, I mean, it seems like you're the focus of everybody's attention. What was that like?
It was a lot of fun. You know, it's good when you can get out there and you can get everybody's all. You know, you might play a team that hasn't won a game in 2 years, but when they play Mater Dei, it's going to be the best game they've ever played. So you got to come out and give it your all every game.
We've talked to Mike Kramer a bunch on this show, and he's a funny guy. We enjoy chatting with him. But from a player's perspective, what's he like to play for?
I love playing for Coach Kramer. You know, he gives you something to play for every week. You know, he's gonna get you ready on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to go out there and be prepared on Saturday and win games.
You're at Portland State this week. What do you see out of them, and what are you preparing for?
You know, they have a very good defense. You know, we experienced them last year, so we just got to show up and listen to the coach's game plan and go out and execute. You know, they have a pretty good secondary, so, you know, it's going to be a test for our receivers and our quarterbacks to go out there and get the job done.
So what's it been like transitioning from Southern California to Pocatello, Idaho?
Well, first, we don't have In-N-Out or, you know, Chick-fil-A. But other than that, it hasn't been too bad. You know, I've gotten used to the weather out here, so, no, I got a bunch of jackets and boots and all that, so I'm getting used to it. This is my last winter out here, so, you know, hopefully it's not too bad.
Does it feel weird that the light's at the end of the tunnel, that the college career is coming to an end?
It's crazy. I remember being in film, you know, messing around with Josh Hill, and now I'm the senior guy messing around with all the freshmen, so it's crazy to actually be here.
You know, Idaho State has had its struggles, and year by year, it seems like there's progress to getting to the point where I know Mike Kramer wants this program to be. Do you take a certain level of ownership that you feel like you've had a big part in the progression of this program?
Yeah, I mean, the seniors on this team and the seniors on the last couple teams, that was our goal to, you know, turn the program around, because when we all got here, it was, you know, the worst in the Big Sky, and we just wanted to come and change the feel out of how the football team is in Pocatello.
Mm. Well, Josh, we appreciate it, man. This has been a great conversation. Good luck going forward. Enjoy your transition into the media, and we look forward to catching up with you again here soon.
All right, thanks for having me on the show.
You got it. Idaho State tight end Josh Cook here on This Week in Big Sky Football. Coming up, you know him, you love him, Stats Craig Haley. It's all coming up when we chat with him about all things Big Sky Football, as well as a national look as well. That's all straight ahead. You're listening to another edition of This Week in Big Sky Football.
We play to win, but it's bigger than winning. It's about authenticity, being true to yourself, genuine dreams and a country big enough to fit them, values and hard work, giving your best and giving back, working together, building a tradition bigger than any one of us, and showing the world every day who we are and how we play. We're Big Sky. We are the heart of the American West.
NCAA Division I FCS football is a game of perseverance, integrity, passion, character, and sportsmanship. As he works to honor the game, every FCS student-athlete grows in his responsibilities as a student and as a member of his campus and community. Dedicated to personal growth and success in the classroom, the NCAA Division I FCS, every down, every day.
Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football.
All right, final segment of the show. You're listening to another edition of This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Scott Garrard. We got Stats Craig Haley coming up here in a moment, but let's review what games we got coming up in Big Sky Conference play this weekend and where you can catch them all. First, fans, remember that the new Big Sky Conference app is now available. Real simple. Go to the App Store or Google Play, search Big Sky Conference, download the app for free, and remember that every game on WatchBigSky.com is available on that Big Sky Conference app. It's slick. It's easy. I was able to watch a bunch of games last week using it. So go to, again, your Google Play or your App Store, download that bad boy, and enjoy all the football action courtesy of WatchBigSky.com. All right, first, nationally ranked Cal Poly travels to play at North Dakota. What a game this one should be. It kicks off at 1 o'clock Central on Midco Sports Network, as well as WatchBigSky.com. UC Davis travels to play at Eastern Washington at 1 o'clock Pacific time. That game will be available on Root Sports as well as on the Audience Network. Northern Arizona travels to play Northern Colorado. Expect some points in this one, folks. The game will kick off at 1 o'clock Mountain on Comcast Entertainment Television in Colorado, as well as WatchBigSky.com. Also, 2 FCS playoff teams from a year ago will play in Missoula on Saturdays. Defending Big Sky champs Southern Utah travel to play against Montana. 2:30 Mountain Time kickoff, and it's available on Cal's Media, again, as well as watchbigsky.com. Idaho State at Portland State, 2:30 Pacific at Providence Park. That game is available on watchbigsky.com. And finally, Montana State and Sacramento State battle at 6 o'clock Pacific. That game available on Cal's Media in Montana, as well as, watchbigsky.com. Root Sports is your official television partner of the Big Sky Conference. This week's game on Root Sports includes UC Davis playing at Eastern Washington, 1 o'clock Pacific time kickoff. And again, you can catch it on Root Sports. All right, welcoming in, once again, one of our favorites, Mr. Craig Haley from STATS. Craig, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Scott. I'm liking that we've hit the conference schedule.
I know. It's now we're down to business. Everything else was kind of leading up to it, but now it's the main attraction as you see these conference teams start beating each other up. And frankly, Cal Poly is finally nationally ranked. They get a win over Montana. Tell us a little bit about your level of surprise on seeing that happen.
Well, I think it's surprising when you consider what we all thought about Cal Poly before the season. We it's such a deep conference race that they were picked ninth in the 2 Big Sky preseason polls. I mean, they've been underrated in our stats top 25. The FCS coaches poll doesn't have them high enough. So we've all been wrong about them, but as long as they keep winning and they keep winning against quality competition, they're going to find themselves in a good position.
I think last year I asked you, is Cal Poly this year's Portland State? I guess we can continue on with those comparisons right now.
Well, yeah, I think it just shows you what the conference is. I mean, when you have 13 teams, you're going to be right about some teams, you're going to be wrong about some. Yeah. I mean, because that conference grind catches up to you. I mean, going on the road is almost impossible at times because these teams know each other well, and teams, are used to playing certain styles, and in conference play, they get it done.
So you've got a Cal Poly team that is now, beating a number 9 team on the road. They've won over a number 6 team at home. So when you look at Cal Poly, obviously it's a very good program. So in reference to Montana and what that does to affect them, does that drop them, in your opinion? The value of this Montana football team, does their value drop, in your opinion, because of that loss to Cal Poly?
Well, there are some questions about just how good Montana is. I mean, they only lost by a point on the road. It was a toss-up kind of matchup, so it's not too bad when you look at it. But the negative for the Grizz is they've fallen behind in a title race that is loaded with contenders. So it closes their margin of error for going forward. I still believe in the Grizz, but yes, I mean they did lose a lot on defense. They can be a little inconsistent. I think there is some question about how good Montana is.
A lot of question marks about Southern Utah. Obviously, they lose a bunch of players to the NFL. They lose their head coach who jumps to BYU. They're 2-1. They've beaten a ranked. They've beaten a ranked team. Are they for real?
Well, I think we'll definitely find out this week going to Montana. I mean, as you mentioned, they lost a handful of big names from last year. At the same time, they still return 15 starters from the championship team. So I think Coach Warren has a good grasp on what his team can be. I mean, they definitely need to run the ball. They're not going to, put up big numbers point-wise week to week, but they have to be aggressive on defense. Their defense is off to a pretty good start. I mean, I think they have a shot here at Missoula, so we can't overlook the defending champion, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is true. They are the defending champs, so we should probably treat them as such. Eastern Washington gets another road win over a nationally ranked team. Eastern Washington, are they, in your opinion, clearly the second-best team in the country?
Well, I think you have to believe that. I mean, I have voted them number 2 for 2 straight weeks on my stats top 25 ballot. I mean, they're number 4 right now. They've answered questions. I mean, about their offensive line, their defense. They won without Cooper Kupp. Beating Northern Iowa. Yes, I think they're number 2. I really do. I think their September resume is better than Jacksonville State and clearly better than Sam Houston State's. So those are 2 teams ahead of them. You can't put them ahead of the Bison, but at the same time, how do you argue with what Eastern Washington has done?
Well, based on that game, they're at North Dakota. I mean, obviously, yeah, you got to put North Dakota 1, but they're not too far behind at number 2 just based on how that game is played head-to-head.
Yeah, you go to overtime in the Fargo Dome. I mean, you've accomplished something, and they're just, everybody talks about North Dakota State. They go and they'll beat an FBS team, and they're fearless. Well, I'll tell you what, Eastern Washington has that same mindset. They're fearless too. I mean, they're going to go toe to toe with quality teams and playing quality teams from every single week. So yes, they've been tremendous so far.
All right, so I ask you this question every week, and so let's update it. So just based on this conversation, NDSU is 1, Eastern Washington 2. So give me your 3, 4, and 5.
Sure. I've actually flip-flopped Jacksonville State to 3 over Sam Houston State just because of their schedules. Sam Houston hasn't been playing a tough schedule, and Jacksonville State actually did schedule pretty good at a conference this year. And so it's Jacksonville 3, Sam Houston 4, and then Chattanooga from the SoCon I have at 5. I mean, I don't think you necessarily want to have a lot of change at the top of a poll from week to week. So I'm just glad the conference season is here. I mean, it can be wild, as Big Sky fans know.
Oh, no doubt. You mentioned Cooper Kupp. I want to go back to him for a little bit. Obviously, sure. He needs to be in every conversation when it comes to national honors at the end of the season. After missing, though, an out-of-conference game, does it hurt him a little bit in that, or does the fact that he comes back from an injury and immediately catches 11 balls for 111 yards, does that just mean that, okay, he had a week off, he dealt with an injury, and he's back in just another day at the office for him?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think if Cooper stays healthy, he's going to produce. We all know that. I mean, he'll be in the discussion for season-ending accolades, awards. But at the same time, there are 125 FCS teams out there, many, many good players. It's not a lock. He'll be the National Player of the Year. He's certainly in that conversation. I think he's going to finish strong as a senior for sure.
Well, Craig, we appreciate it. Always fun to catch up with you. Enjoy the games this week, and we'll catch up with you next week.
All right, sounds great, Scott.
Big thanks to Craig Haley, who joined us. Also, big thanks to Weber State coach Jay Hill and Idaho State tight end Josh Cook for joining us. Remember, get all the games, download the app. It's all right there for you at watchbigsky.com and download that Big Sky Conference app to see all the football action. Big thanks to Austin Horton, who puts the show together. Also executive producer of This Week in Big Sky Football, John Oglesby. I'm Scott Garrard. Thanks for joining us. Download that app. Enjoy all the football. We'll be back with you next week for another edition of This Week in Big Sky Football.